Hi, this is Ken and Michelle Bass.
And you're listening to the Resilient Parenting Podcast.
And thank you for joining us again. We are into another episode of this illustrious podcast of ours.
The Resilient Parenting Podcast. Brought to you by the Idaho Children's Trust Fund.
Can we start saying the illustrious Resilient Parenting Podcast?
I don't know if I could say that.
No.
How do you say it?
3 times fast. The illustrious Resilient Parenting Podcast.
What was the word I couldn't say last night? Then you kept laughing at me.
Stop?
What?
No.
Oh my gosh. I clearly can say that. That is not a problem.
I
know. Okay, well, that just stopped me in my tracks. I was not expecting you to say that. That's funny.
Well, these podcasts go out to everybody, but you were reminding me off mic about something in particular happening around this time of the year.
Yeah. So Mother's Day is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So is my birthday. And then, Father's Day is just around the corner. And it just reminds me that our podcast, every episode is really about anyone in a parenting role. And so you may be, filling that role as mom. It also reminds me of all of the folks who play that like mentor or, auntie who maybe don't have biological children of their own, but are a big part of so many people's lives. And I just really wanted to just do a quick shout out to all of you, that this podcast, every episode is really for all of you, every parent, whether you're biological or not, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, teachers, coaches, professionals that are working with families. This is a resource for all of you. And we just really want to say thank you to you for all you do and for listening to our little, what is it again?
Illustrious Resilient Parenting Podcast.
And to ask you to continue to support us, listen, and share with your friends. It really is a grassroots effort, reaching more families. That's the goal. We'd love to be all over the state of Idaho. And I do know that we are, listened to in other countries and across the nation, and that's awesome. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Should I say anything else?
Stop.
And today we're chatting with Royale Lockhart, Lead Quality Child Care Consultant in Region 1, Hope Facilitator, Hope Champion, College of Idaho Health and Human Sciences, University of Idaho, Center on Disabilities and Human Development, IdahoSTARS Project.
Wow.
What a name tag that must be.
Yes.
Covers your whole upper body. Huh?
Uh-huh.
And you're located in Post Falls, Idaho.
Uh-huh. Yeah. IdahoSTARS has what we call child care resource centers in 7 regions by the health district regions. So my office works with the 5 northern counties, and we on the IdahoSTARS Project is supporting quality practices in child care.
So that was a lot of different amazing programs. Mm-hmm. So what exactly do you do?
Okay, so I get to go into childcare centers where people love children and want to provide good quality care. And part of that is building good relationships with parents. So one of the pieces that I really enjoy is helping parents and childcare providers understand the building blocks of hope or strengthening families, or anything that just really celebrates the strengths that a family might have. I also coach in supporting better understanding of child development, business practices, environments, health and safety, all of those kinds of things. So
wow, that's a lot. No wonder you have so many different titles.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about building blocks of hope?
Sure. So the Building Blocks of Hope is a framework that was created by Jeff Linkenbach and the Montana Institute a while back in around 2015, and where they started to recognize that experiences, positive childhood experiences, or PCEs, can outweigh or outbalance a child's ACEs scores. And they
Oh,
actually found out that the more that it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and he gives you your antibiotic and he says you have to finish the whole the whole, what's it called?
Dosage.
regiment?
Regimen. Thank you. The whole regiment of
Bing, bing, bing.
medication so that your body gets that built up and you can get feeling better. Positive
Mhm.
childhood experiences work the exact same way. The more positive childhood experiences you have, the more resilient you are. And so, and in doing that, they identified that there are four ways that primary ways that you can create moments of hope or positive childhood experiences, and that's the building blocks. And the building blocks are relationships, emotional growth, engagement, and environment.
And just
So,
in case there's someone listening that doesn't know about ACEs, ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences.
yes, yeah,
Okay, so relationships, is that
yes, relationships, emotional growth, engagement, and environment.
nice? So we've talked a lot on our program about the importance of relationships and connection for healing. And when you say engagement, what does that mean?
So, engagement is opportunities for engagement to develop a sense of connectedness, involvement in social institutions, environments, awareness of cultural customs and traditions, a sense of mattering or belonging that the family can provide, either the family at home with activities that they can do in the home or things that people can do in their childcare centers and their classrooms to help the child feel like they're important and they matter.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So it's connecting, engagement and connecting with self, with community, with their culture, and understanding how that all is interwoven together.
Exactly. Yeah. So it could be as simple. I just got off the phone with a provider who was talking about how all the families are going to soccer practice this weekend. Something like that, getting your children involved in sports. And then while the kids are playing, the parents are also creating moments of hope for themselves because now they're connecting to other parents with children the same age and maybe even talking about my kid isn't sleeping through the night right now. We're going through the, bad dreams. What are have you gone through that yet? And sharing the challenges and the joys of parenting together while your kid's out playing soccer, you're all building positive childhood experiences right there.
Now, the word hope pops up a lot in your conversation and in your job titles and everything else. How important is hope overall? That one word.
It's huge. So a personal story. I have several step grandchildren, and they had pretty high ACEs scores when I first came in, and I didn't know anything about hope. I've been in education for 30 years. I've heard about adverse childhood experiences, and you know, you just do the best you can without really understanding. And when you meet a child in your classroom or your family goes through something that causes trauma, it could get really overwhelming and discouraging to know what to do. How do we get past that? And I felt that as a grandma for my grandkids. How do I help them past these things? And my stepson, how does he help his kiddos through this? And when I started learning about the hope framework and positive childhood experiences, like I felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders, and that I could then pass that down to my stepkids and my son, and that it would be passed down to my grandkids, that weight of that trauma, they don't have to carry it, because there's other things that are going to counterbalance. And the research showed that the absence of hope could actually, or absence of positive childhood experiences could actually be more harmful than any of the ACEs together. But if you have one memory of a positive childhood experience where you mattered, somebody took the time to find out what your favorite color was, or that you like dinosaurs today, you mattered to that person, that one thing can put hope that could literally change their life.
We've heard over and over again that all it takes is one positive, caring, healthy adult to be able to change the direction of a child's life. And what you're saying is basically the same, in my mind, is the same thing, is like having, the memories of someone caring, of someone seeing them, of seeing that they're lovable, and that there's so much uniqueness to them, can really, and to caregivers too, like when they're struggling, to be able to have just one person who can, say, hey, I've been there, or I'm in it too, let's figure this out together. I mean, can be really that light that you need in some of your darkest moments.
Exactly. And I think that like you were saying, I think that's important, not only for children to have that sense of connectedness and mattering, but as an adult, if you find someone that has experienced something similar to you, and you can share that with them, and then suddenly you're not alone anymore. It can really truly change your perspective, almost like as much as taking off one pair of glasses that are dark and lonely feeling, and putting on a new pair that everything is bright and lit up.
So I know that there's a lot of places in Idaho that are rural, that there isn't as many opportunities for getting together, or you have to be really creative. And then I know there's probably some things online, but any suggestions or anything that you've seen in your work that can help bring this, the hope and the building blocks to maybe folks that aren't as connected?
Yes, it could be as simple as going on a nature walk together, because in the nature walk, you're also pulling in one of the building blocks of environment, and you're looking and exploring the world around you. So sometimes just being in nature, and that could be your own yard, that could be walking down the street, and then noticing what you notice. What sounds do you hear, and what sights do you see? My mom, we used to play a game of just simply laying on the ground and what shape did the cloud make and stuff. And you're creating a memory and a moment with that child or with that friend that's going to carry through and last a long, a lifetime potentially. Another one is a cultural celebration. Now, that could be something that is as small as just in your family. When my family came together as a blended family, we started Gotcha Day. And I know a lot of adoptive families do have a Gotcha Day. So make up a family tradition. It doesn't have to be something that anybody else in the world celebrates. Make it your own thing, and then you feel connected. My son and I played a game with Rolos, and it was just silly. So now every once in a while we get each other a Rolo candy bar, and it just remembers this little game that we played when he was really little. And it does not have to be complicated at all.
And it doesn't have to cost money.
No, no.
Actually, some of the best memories, I think, are the ones that are, organic, or, just in your backyard, or
Yep.
in the car.
Yep. We used to just go throw rocks in the water because that was It doesn't cost anything. And throwing rocks, how far can you get it? Can you make it skip? You're using an environment that's creating a safe place for your child and for you. You're connecting over the relationship. You also may be providing an opportunity for emotional growth, because one of the things that is important is taking the time to talk to your child. And so when you're out on a nature walk, or laying on the front yard or on your porch or the driveway, wherever you can find a place to lay down and look at the clouds or the stars, talk. A memory from your childhood. When you were little, did you see lightning bugs at night? Or, it doesn't, just whatever special memory, and enjoy that time. And that's, I think, one of the big pieces too, is sometimes as adults, as childcare teachers, professionals, we get so busy in the checklist of things that we've got to get through. I've got to get this cleaned, this meal made, this checklist done. I need to make sure you're meeting these milestones or whatever, that we forget to just stop and enjoy the child right now, where they're at, and the things that they say. Parents, document the fun things that they say, because all of a sudden they're going to be 24 and not, they're going to be busy with their lives. And you may find that hopeful memory in going back and reading the funny little comments and things that they said. And that might get that parent through that rough time when those grown-up young adults have cut the apron strings and are off flying.
So
I'm
true.
doing that a litof myself right now. It's hard.
And they're done that, still doing it.
Yeah.
But the old saying kind of goes hand in hand with this about, life is too fast, so stop and smell the roses.
Exactly.
Basically, the roses encompass all that you've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So these are all really great opportunities for folks to do in their homes or in their communities. Is there more that you want to share about any of the other programs or anything that maybe is in their area?
Sure. So there are hope facilitators like me all over the state of Idaho. Idaho Children's Trust Fund and Idaho AEYC have done a great job of building a really great team of people that are facilitators. So you can reach out through either of those organizations to get some hope training. And the cool thing about the way that hope training works is facilitators can customize the training to your needs. So if you're a childcare center, you can log on to the IdahoSTARS Rise website, and you can request Spreading Hope in Early Childhood class, and that could be a live class or a webinar or a Zoom on demand class that they can take. I'm also working on a Hope for Families training right now that I hope to be a family event at a childcare center. So, because that's one of the things that we want to see childcare centers doing, is creating engagement opportunities where the families can come together, because the children are talking about their friends and their frenemies, every day. So the parents can come together and meet each other, start building those connections. And if with my training that I'm created, that could be part of that event, is childcare centers could plan a dinner, and then I could come and do the presentation, or another facilitator could come and do the presentation. And that's going to be talking about ways that you can at home build the building blocks into your home. Another great way to do the building blocks at home and in childcare is chores. Believe it or not, chores actually help with that sense of mattering, because if you explain to your child and your teenager that this is their part of contributing to the overall health of the house, yeah, your teenagers are probably going to roll their eyes, but they're going to feel important. And those little ones are going to feel really important, just taking the silverware out of the dishwasher. So, and those are the kinds of things that I'll share in the Hope for Families, is more things that you can do at home to connect relationships, environment, engagement, and opportunities for growth. I have a great list of children's books that I can send to you guys. And on that list of books, you can actually go on YouTube and you can have somebody read the story aloud. So you can have it, you can do that, or just simply reading it to your child. Even if you don't feel confident in your reading aloud, you being vulnerable and willing to do something you're not comfortable with is an emotional growth opportunity for you and for your child. And a lot of the books on the list demonstrate characters going through something in life and growing from it as a result of one of the building blocks happening in their life. So,
Very nice. And I bet a lot of those books, if you want to have it so you can read it, you could find at your local library.
yes, I would venture to say almost all of them. I think I've got one on the list that's out of print, but I can tell you it's Eeyore's Birthday by Winnie the Pooh, and it is
Ah,
on video. Eeyore is a great character who needs lots of hope.
oh
But
yes.
Yes.
the building blocks, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, they definitely help him and provide relationship over and over with Eeyore.
I love this so much. And I hope this is, I don't think it's off topic, but you talk about the hope for families that you're working on and then like in childcare and all of that. And for many years, I worked with families in the foster care system. And I just think about all the foster parents that are out there specifically about for them, for that connection of other parents that are also doing it, but also like connecting the kids to relationships, to their emotional engagement specifically around their family culture.
Mhm.
And how do you bring that in, kind of like you were saying with the child care center, how do foster parents bring that in when you're for a time taking care of these kids while their families are working things out, so to support their
I agree.
identity.
Yeah, when I would say that going back to that piece of enjoying the child, if
Mhm.
they're in foster care, there's trauma, there's crisis, there's probably survival mode where maybe they've had a few little points of the hope, but somebody's sitting down and actually getting to know that child. What is it that makes them light up and get excited? And whenever they're thinking about it, they just feel good. And then it's hard because as children go through things, their interests may not align with ours as adults. My youngest stepdaughter is very much in love with dragons and skeletons and fairies, and that's just not ever been something I've thoroughly enjoyed. But we both love to draw. And
Mhm.
so we will draw, and she'll share pictures of her dragons and her fairies and all of those things. And she's an amazing artist, and she does incredible dragons. I don't draw dragons, I draw other things, but we connect, and that relationship is we find the common ground. And sometimes you have to dig deep to find
Mhm.
that common ground and think outside of the box. How can I connect with this child? And then another thing I would say too, in this video game world, how do you connect when we're all like face to phone all of the time?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I think that's a challenge that today's parents have that I didn't have.
Mhm.
Phones weren't a thing when my kids were in that early learning stage. It happened later. But we made rules, no phones at the dinner table, no phones in the kitchen while we're cooking or, hanging out together there. No phones on the nature walks, stuff like that.
Exactly. I was just thinking, like, if you're gonna set aside like special time for memories, to have it be where it's like where parent and child both make that agreement together that maybe they'll use the phone for pictures of like different things, but really for that time, it's just like no social media. We're gonna be in the present moment together, making memories.
Mhm. And that actually could be a fun activity to do together, is to sit down and say, we want to start making memories together.
Hmm.
What rules should our family have for these memory times? And then let the kids be part of making those boundaries for that time, because then they're going to own it and
Yeah,
feel more involved in that memory making moment.
so true. Well, I love this. It's so many ways. It's, you talked about supporting childcare providers who spend a lot of time with the kids. The kids are there a long time. So their influence and how they can connect is significant, connect the parents, and I'm thinking a lot of parents who work a lot, who, want to connect with the kids. They're hearing about other friends, being able to find ways, like you were saying, to have them connect. You may be connecting a parent who this is their only socialization besides work. So how can you make it so that it becomes a support outside of this facility, and then, finding opportunities at home, in community. And then if you're not someone who, let's say you don't have kids, you can, be one of those community members who can provide maybe opportunities, or reach out to moms or dads or grandmas or grandpas or aunts or uncles or whoever.
Adopt a family,
Adopt a family. Yes.
One of the childcare centers that I worked in, right next door to a church with a lot of aging people in the church who wanted to volunteer and help in different ways. And one of the gentlemen came over and said, could I just come in and read a story to your kids? And so he came once a week, and he brought his own story, and he went and sat down, and just read a story to the kids. And I think it was equally good for him, because he was a widower, and being able to connect with young children again. And then early childhood is a very female dominated industry. And so having a gentleman come in who loved to read, the little boys got excited about reading stories and reading books too.
I have a brilliant idea. Thank you so much for bringing this up, because Ken is retired now. So he loves to read, and he does characters. I'm just thinking, Ken, this is like a really cool opportunity. Y'all know how to get a hold of him. He's in the Boise area, but he'll drive probably up to Caldwell, but that's about it.
I think it's a great way to connect. I had another lady who loved to garden, and she had dyed her gray hair purple, and she would come in and plant flowers in the garden, and the kids loved to talk to her about the flowers and watch her plant the flowers in the garden. And so find your local childcare center and ask how you can volunteer, and go to your local public school and see if you can volunteer there too.
You may influence others too. You may influence parents who haven't been thinking along these lines, and they'll go, oh, I like what they're doing. Maybe I need to do more of that myself.
Exactly. Again, we get so busy in just the day-to-day life. And, my son is 24, and I feel mostly good that I can look back and say, yeah, we did a lot of really cool things. There's a lot of great memories, but I also know there's a lot of missed opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'd rather the good memories definitely outweigh the missed opportunities, because we're all going to miss opportunities. No matter what, we're going to miss them.
Yeah.
But if we can come at the end of the day and know I made a memory today, that's a good thing to go to sleep on.
And that's actually a good way to end this episode.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hope we did well. See what I did there?
I hope you stop.
Oh. Backfire.
I think it went fine. It was fun.
I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
I hope you give up.
I hope. Never.
I
Thanks
will.
for inspiring hope.
There you go. I love it.
This podcast is brought to you by the Idaho Children's Trust Fund.